The best open-world games for PS5 are also some of the best titles for the PlayStation console, so I've narrowed them down to 21 open-world games playable on PS5, which I'll show you in this video. I wrote in my Horizon Forbidden West review that this game is the most technically beautiful I've ever experienced when played on PS5. I still believe that. From decrepit cities being swallowed by sand with cavernous waterholes resting underneath, to snowy hill villages fortified by steep cliffs and big stone walls, Horizon Forbidden West is a satisfying game to explore. It helps that the lighting is stunning, the small environment tells like ferns moving from beneath you giving it liveliness, and that Aloy physically reacts to the environment. The game also has a really strong story even if the central protagonist doesn't quite engage you in the way she should. The RPG light does run into issues with the HUD and isn't trying to reinvent the Ubisoft-style open world, but it does refine everything to a T. Throw in an unbelievably good combat model featuring giant robot dinosaurs, and there's no reason you shouldn't try and platinum the Horizon Forbidden West trophies. For many, Assassin's Creed Valhalla served as a palate cleanser of sorts, helping them to wash away the stale taste of the series' tired and tested formula. However, for those who still find themselves yearning for the familiarity of classic Assassin's Creed games, Assassin's Creed Mirage might just be worth a look. Mirage is set in 9th century Baghdad, thus providing players with a detailed glimpse into a part of the world that is so often overlooked by Western media. The gameplay may be a little drab in places, but the setting is anything but, making this a great title for those who enjoy exploring rich and vibrant open worlds. After a few forgettable entries, Far Cry 6 found the fun again. Of course, there's an undeniable familiarity here. You play as Danny, either male or female, and must work alongside a ragtag group of guerrillas to liberate the beautiful landscape of Yara from the rule of a menacing dictator named Anton Castillo. But while the core formula remains intact, there's fun to be found in the emergent combat gauntlets and DIY armaments, with a backpack rocket launcher and Walkman assault rifle among some of the highlights. If you're ever in need of open-world comfort food, then you can't really go wrong here. If you haven't embarked on collecting the Days Gone trophies yet, where have you been? This underrated game from the PS4 era is still playable on PS5, and we think you should give it a go. With the story of biker Deccan St. John at its core, you'll be shooting at freakers, zombies, as you ride your motor through Oregon forests and the wildernesses beyond. The gameplay loop is compelling and it feels good and meaty to play, especially when a huge horde comes after you. Amongst the best PS4 games, we voted Days Gone higher than Kingdom Come Deliverance, but those positions have swapped for the best open world list. Why? Well, we think that the Oregonian world of Days Gone is gloriously open and wild, but doesn't quite have the depth of the aforementioned medieval RPG. By no means take that as a slight, though. I think it's a glorious game with American storytelling cheesiness and bombast. I love it! Spider-Man 2's open-world recreation of New York City does things differently from other games. It doesn't exist simply to enhance the player's sense of freedom, rather, it offers players a chance to express the unique movement of Spider-Man creatively through improvised routes and awkwardly shaped roadblocks. In essence, the world gives the player a giant obstacle course to navigate, and it turns the mere act of getting from A to B into a delightful gameplay skill of its own. Where Marvel's Spider-Man 2 trumps its predecessors is in upping the video game elements of its open world with the addition of wind tunnels, vents, and super slingshots. These elements glow green in the game's HUD because the developers want you to see this open world more like a freeform racetrack than just another wide space that separates you and your objective. Zipping around always felt good in these games, but it's hard to imagine going back to the older games without Marvel's Spider-Man 2's web wings. So, head out and grab the Marvel Spider-Man 2 trophies, you know you want to. It was a bit of a surprise that in 2023 a game could dominate like Hogwarts Legacy did. But, dominate it did, and for good reason. The recreation of Hogwarts is one of my favorite parts of an open-world map I've ever seen and bursts at the seams with the innovative magic systems presented by Harry Potter. With tight, twisting castle corridors and an open courtyard dominated by twisting towers, there's something so special about the place. That feeling is heightened with brilliant music and the mumblings of students, teachers, and moving paintings as you wander the corridors. There is much more than that. Of course, on your voyage through the Hogwarts Legacy trophies you'll discover interesting characters like the morally compromised Sebastian Sallow. You'll also get to explore the rich Scottish Highlands with their odd villages and damp caves filled with magical creatures. I think the game gets a little lost during the main story, but everything else is here to round out a great package: strong gameplay, creative ideas, and fun side missions. Hogwarts Legacy is a great open-world game for PS5 players. Both of the Dying Light games offer up a refreshing take on the open-world formula, with the ever-present threat of zombies helping to completely transform the way that players interact with and explore their surroundings. The fluidity of the game's parkour system and the paraglider help a lot in this regard, allowing players to remain on their toes and escape from danger at just a moment's notice. Sure, there are plenty of great open-world games where players need to worry about their surroundings, with the likes of Fallout 4 and Elden Ring being some of the first to spring to mind. However, while these games tend to promote the idea that there could be danger around every corner, Dying Light 2 players are instead conditioned to believe that there more than likely is. Death Stranding isn't everyone's cup of tea. You play Sam Porter Bridges, Norman Reedus, as he delivers parcels to help reconnect America after it is broken by a cataclysmic event. The line between life and death is now blurred and the results are horrifying, something legendary game designer Hideo Kojima explores with his typical complexity, silliness, and absurdity. A character named Die Hardman? Sure. Mate? Sure. But some of the characters like Fragile, Leah Seydoux, Clifford Unger, Mads Mikkelsen, and Mama/Lockney, Margaret Qualley, are impeccably written. Ultimately, you are delivering parcels from one place to the next. The game part of all of this comes from the voyages you make to and fro, over mountains and chasm, through snow and river, or through crowds of strange creatures as acidic rain falls overhead. With bikes, trucks, grapples, and cannons to help you negotiate the empty American landscape with your deliveries, you'll find an open-world game that is gorgeous and unique, and certainly something I've never seen anything like before. The environment is the game, and that is truly innovative to me. You might think it pretentious and rubbish, or you might end up loving it like me, but isn't it worth finding out? In a lot of ways, Assassin's Creed Valhalla is like a blend of Origins and Odyssey. Like Origins, there's much more focus on storytelling in this epic Viking saga. But like Odyssey, Valhalla leans heavily on expanded RPG mechanics, such as leveling up, equipment, and skill trees. You play as Eivor, a vision-haunted Viking warrior who leaves Norway to establish a new home in 9th century England. Featuring a lush open world stuffed with all kinds of landmarks and secrets, Valhalla is a real time sink of a game, but its story-driven acts offer up some of the best characters and narrative beats in the entire series. Bohemia, 1403. King Wenceslas rules as he is under siege from his half-brother and Hungarian King Sigismund. Open on the historically accurate town of Skalitz, where we find our mighty hero, Henry. There he is, doing such heroic things as dodging work, getting drunk, and running around with his mates while his village gets burned to the ground. Wait, now he's trying to learn to read, and how to hold a sword without accidentally slicing his toes off. My word, Henry is a silly boy. This realistic RPG is, for our money, the most underrated game of the PS4 generation. You'll take silly peasant Henry from life as a blacksmith's son to life under the arm of true knight Sir Radzig. Teaching Henry everything is one of the most rewarding gameplay loops I've ever experienced. The world is a glorious recreation of the medieval Czech Republic, and the narrative is one of the most captivatingly earnest in all of video gaming. It's funny because Henry doesn't quip, he bumbles. It is emotional because love was put into every character, and it's exceptional because it is modest. Sure, you'll put loads of time into the Kingdom Come Deliverance trophies and have to replay it a few times, but you won't mind. Add in DLC that has finished the game's story and a fair amount of bugginess, this isn't the most AAA experience on this list. But, if I am being honest, dear reader, it's the open world game I love the most. If it wasn't for reason and objectivity, it'd be even higher. It would be difficult to talk about the best open-world PS5 games without at least mentioning Skyrim, even if the game's PS5 port did come as a bit of a letdown. Much like its predecessors, the game helped to push the boundaries of what many thought possible in open-world titles, with its wonderfully well-realized setting offering deeper immersion than anything that came before it. A lot of this stems from the fact that just about anything is possible in Skyrim, particularly with the help of mods. Unlike a lot of other console games, the PS5 and Xbox Series ports of The Elder Scrolls V, Skyrim Anniversary Edition do actually feature fairly robust mod support, though those with access to a powerful PC would probably be better off playing the game there instead. Sucker Punch has the traditional open-world formula down to a T. Explore, collect, do a bit of story, and then explore some more. That's how the infamous games did it, and that is how the wonderful Ghost of Tsushima does it, too. Unlike Horizon Forbidden West, its open-world PlayStation-exclusive counterpart, the game set in feudal Japan offers a few small twists on the formula. Firstly, the island of Tsushima, an Iki Island if you play the DLC, is a landscape that definitely feels different for a Western audience, with long rushes swaying in the wind and small Japanese farmsteads providing real architectural contrast to the usual fare. As we covered in our Ghost of Tsushima review, though, it also uses the environment to its advantage. You'll be guided by the wind towards objectives, which reduces the clutter from the menus. In doing so, the world seems larger and more immersive because you aren't living your digital life guided by a glowing point on the screen. It's subtle and perfect. If you do go for all those Ghost of Tsushima trophies, then you'll find fantastic combat and a really strong narrative to boot, rounding out the game into the perfect package. New York has served as a setting for many great video games, including both Marvel's Spider-Man and its 2020 sequel, Marvel's Spider-Man: Miles Morales. Some will perhaps argue that creating a compelling video game world from scratch is a far greater achievement, but recreating a real-world location with such meticulous attention to detail is an incredible achievement nonetheless, and one that is worthy of a lot of praise. Not content with creating a phenomenal sandbox for players to goof around in, the team at Insomniac Games then set about crafting one of the best map traversal mechanics in video game history. Swinging through the streets of New York feels immensely satisfying and allows players to see the Big Apple from a whole other perspective. The rest of the game is fantastic too and well worth checking out for fans of the open-world genre. What started as one of the PS5's biggest disappointments soon became one of its greatest games. Cyberpunk 2077 started off terribly optimized for consoles, but the game has received numerous updates, bringing the world of Night City into one of the best RPG games of the generation. Night City is easily one of the most beautiful dystopian worlds ever seen in a game, and it's brimming with personality and stories to witness. Developer CD Projekt Red is renowned for crafting excellent narratives and quest lines, and that's no different here, but Cyberpunk 2077 also boasts very good FPS combat as well. Oh, and it's got Keanu Reeves in it, and that's never a bad thing in our books. There's also the Phantom Liberty expansion for fans to enjoy, which adds an additional narrative for newcomers and fans alike to experience. Picking Grand Theft Auto 5 is categorically boring. Sorry, do you know why it's here, though? Even 10 years after its release, Los Santos remains one of the most vibrant contemporary open worlds put together, as it satirically skewers every aspect of the American world, from its hyper-capitalism to its surface-deep entertainment industry. GTA 5 also gives you everything else. Satisfying driving? Check. Good gunplay? Sure. A brilliant story? Of course. I mean, no doubt the Grand Theft Auto 5 trophies will make you want to put your head through a wall, but when the wall is this well made, why not? The GTA Online mode is genuinely decent so long as you hide your wallet away, and we can't stress enough how much enjoyment you can have just mucking about. So, go on, have some fun by picking up our most boring pick if you somehow haven't yet. Marvel's Spider-Man Remastered comes bundled with the deluxe edition of Marvel's Spider-Man, Miles Morales, and applies an extra glossy coat of paint to an already exquisite work of art. However, despite the remaster first becoming available in late 2020 and then receiving a PC port a few years later, it wasn't until May of 2023 that it finally got its own standalone PS5 release. Though this delay frustrated a lot of players, it was arguably worth the wait, as this is undoubtedly the best way to experience the 2018 classic on the console. It's one of the best PlayStation exclusive games of all time, and, thanks to the increased power of the former, looks considerably better on the PS5 than the original did on PS4. Those who played the original can probably skip it, but for anybody who didn't, it's well worth checking out. If you're a big fan of Souls-likes and you've not played Elden Ring yet, where have you been? This punishing open-world action RPG will really test your patience, but it's worth it, trust us. The map is never-ending, the Elden Ring bosses are challenging, and the quests are as gripping as you'd expect from a game of this caliber. Elden Ring is easily one of the best games we've had this year, and open-world fans must try it. The open world of Elden Ring is magnificent too, with a classic feeling of finding things for yourself. If you're tired of the modern era of games offering markers for everything, then Elden Ring may be the reset you need. Perhaps more open universe than open world, No Man's Sky boasts one of gaming's ultimate redemption arcs, released amidst an ungodly amount of hype and expectation. To say that the game was initially a massive disappointment would perhaps be a bit of an understatement. To Hello Games' credit, though, the developer refused to give up on what was clearly a very promising idea. Fast forward 7 years or so, and a series of patches have completely transformed the experience, bringing with them many of the missing features that were promised pre-launch as well as plenty of others that weren't. In its current state, No Man's Sky is an incredibly enjoyable game and is more than worthy of its place among the very best open-world PS5 games. 7 years later, The Witcher 3: Wild Hunt is still one of the absolute best RPGs around. This updated PS5 version only adds a little bit of new content in the form of costumes and a, actually fantastic, quest inspired by the Netflix series, but the visuals are better than ever thanks to improved assets, textures, lighting, and even a dedicated ray tracing mode. What's more, a number of small gameplay improvements really add up, resulting in the definitive edition of Geralt's generational adventure. If you've got the urge for yet another replay, then it's best done on PS5 with what is the best looking and best playing version of The Witcher 3. Prior to 2020, most people had never even heard of Tsushima Island, including many of those living in mainland Japan. The release of Ghost of Tsushima changed all that though, with Sucker Punch Productions' open-world epic helping to put the small war-torn island firmly on the map. The development team did an incredible job of capturing the natural beauty too, particularly when it comes to some of its more rural locales. The director's cut of the game offers even more impressive visuals and comes bundled with the Iki Island DLC. Most people will never get an opportunity to visit either of the two islands in person, but those who've played the game will in some ways feel as though they already have. Such is the level of detail that went into creating the game's stunning open world. The story is fantastic too, particularly for those with an interest in history or the ways of the samurai. If you want to talk about a game that was released and just truly embarrassed everything else on the market by being an outrageously good and innovative game, look no further than grabbing the Red Dead Redemption 2 trophies and then we'll really be talking. As the Old West of America is falling to the slow industrialization of the frontiers, cowboy Arthur Morgan grapples with his role as part of the magnetic leader Butch's gang. It's so well written that it might be my favorite story in video gaming, but it almost certainly wouldn't be if the open world didn't push it up a notch. The story isn't just great because of the writing, it's how it interplays with the truly revolutionary environment design. You can interact with everyone and feel like part of this world. You'll come across random events in the forests and end up on a 40-minute journey that'll make you laugh and cry as you try and help a widow in need. Whether or not these are actually the definitive versions of the original 3D Grand Theft Auto trilogy is a matter of debate. In fact, most people would probably be in agreement that they aren't. However, at this point in time, these ports offer the only way to experience this once groundbreaking trilogy on the PS5 and are still a whole lot better than a lot of modern open-world games despite their many flaws. The controls have aged pretty poorly and the updated visuals leave a lot to be desired, but the games remain enjoyable nonetheless. They also serve as an excellent reminder of the franchise's importance to the open-world genre, having helped to inspire countless other titles over the years. Of the three games, San Andreas has aged the most gracefully, but Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto: Vice City can still be a lot of fun. So, did you like the games I recommended? So leave your like, subscribe to the channel to follow me and activate the bell because I post a lot of videos on this channel and you can't miss it. I would like to remind you that in the description we have a list of different products that can make your gaming experience much better. If you want to buy, the link will be in the description. Anyway, thank you very much for following me this far and until next time, bye.